Hi, everyone, and welcome once again to the TRF podcast. Are you happy, guys?
Yeah.
I'm happy. It's been a very wonderful journey so far. We've enjoyed ourselves. I've enjoyed myself, and I've learned a lot of things, and I'm sure you have as well. And this is the concluding part of the AI and technology series that we've been discussing so far. I'm joined by Victor Adeyera to my immediate right here.
Hello.
Next to him is Isaac Shugbeson.
Hello.
Yeah, the bearded man. He looks very rich, doesn't he? And then that's at the far right is John Ayeni. That's the AI himself. That's the AI himself. AI personified. He has mentioned all of the technicalities that you can think of here. I've enjoyed you guys. Thank you very much for staying by. So these are concluding episode on this series. I think we should, before we start talking about the very terrible side of AI, which I think there should be, which I will force you guys to tell me on this show. Can we talk quickly about AI and the church? Quickly.
Yeah, I think AI and technology and the church is, I think, the biggest mistake churches can make. We made that mistake about 2 decades ago, which is we handed technology to the devil. I remember the advent of the phone Bibles, the iPads, Facebook, MySpace, YouTube. The standard thing was all those things were the devil's workshop. You shouldn't be on YouTube, you shouldn't be on Facebook. And the church just stepped back. And what that allowed to happen was there was no space for the church on these platforms with these tools. And it looked like a point of hypocrisy when pastors started changing their minds. And I used to say back then, because there would be pastors who would come, well, if you're using a phone Bible, you're not a Christian, you're not right, and you're this. And I go, well, your paper Bible is technology as well. You know, it's not like the Old Testament was written in ink and pen and ink. You know, many of these things would have been written on walls, then going on to hide, scrolls. I mean, the printing press is a relatively new bit of technology.
Compared to that time.
And we started running a race to catch up when it came to media, streaming, and YouTube. I mean, YouTube has been around for decades. Yes. But it's only in the last 5-10 years that we've seen a real push for churches on these media spaces. We are very, very late into this.
COVID forced a lot of
COVID forced, yeah, exactly. You know, and I think that's the hope that moving on with this idea of AI, it's not just to embrace it, it's to understand what it is. Don't just say it's the devil, it's bad, it's wrong, we're not touching it. Because at some point in the future, we might have to go and say, I do need it. It can't help. So everything we do now, there is an element of technology going into it. We can reach a wider audience. Evangelism is becoming more widespread than it's ever been. Before a preacher some countries will have a preacher, they would need to fly them in. I mean, now you can find videos of Korean churches on your YouTube stream. You know, people in China can watch a sermon if they wanted to. You know, our evangelism can go a lot further, faster with technology if we know how well to use it, rather than pushing it as aside. If you understand it's a tool that can be used, why not use it?
One thing I'd just like to add to that is also it is like a missed opportunity, as you've said, for the church. If we see this new tool that's available to us, but for some people, just because something is new or foreign, they automatically take it as it's ungodly, rather than seeking to understand what is this new thing, how does it work, is it a tool that we can use for our good works. So things such as the church presence online and on the internet, if you know, some years back, it's not as prominent as what it is today now. And the information is now getting out there. The algorithm is even pushing church now, you know, and pushing God's message in front of people who would have otherwise maybe not have not have heard it. So it's not to say all aspects of it is good, but new tools require understanding, because if you're not careful, it might be something that ends up you might end up getting left behind, and in a lot of aspects the church can get left behind if it doesn't seek to understand how these technologies work. The other thing I would say is, although the church is not to be influenced by society, the society should always be there for the church to influence. So us as Christians, we have we have computer scientists, we have data scientists, we have engineers. We can be in there in the front lines of the developers who are developing these things. So we haven't just left it, as you said, in the hands of in the hands of the world to do what they want with it.
Set the agenda, the narratives.
Yeah, let me come from a different perspective to what they've said. I'm agreeing with all they've said, but Isaac is saying we've caught up, but I feel like we're even playing catch up in one aspect. Yeah, and that aspect is even in terms of policy, and that's where what Victor said last makes a lot of sense. The church has not been heavily involved in terms of policies when it comes to technology. So you talk of cyberbullying and all the likes. What is the church message on some of all these things? Morally we can say the society is morally saying, oh, cyberbullying is wrong, grooming using digital tool is wrong and all the likes. But what is our own stand as a body, as a people? And that's one key part when it comes to AI. Now a lot of countries, a lot of nations, countries and bodies basically are beginning to think of having AI policies. Yeah, so Nigeria is talking of something like that. I think Europe was the first to launch something around the policy around AI. So has the church been involved in this communication to say, okay, this is the part where we want? You don't need to come and bring or quote the scripture at them, but there is how our messaging can be clear and still represent what Christ is saying. It doesn't have to be we're throwing scriptures at them, but we have a clear message. That's something that we as a body have not done very well.
All right, fantastic. Thank you guys. Let me now start talking about the Bible that we have on our phones. I'm trying to think of manipulation, and is there no way somebody can remove some words from the YouVersion Bible or something online, and let's just talk about the bad side of this AI now, right? And just thinking, one of the things in my mind is manipulation, for instance. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, so I think manipulation is something. It's a tool of the enemy. All right. It's the devil's tool. It's one of the devil's biggest tools. Manipulation and deceit is something that has been there since the beginning of the human race, and I think will always be there, right? So as well as all these tools, we've mentioned about the analogy of a knife, where you can use a knife to do so much good and use it to cook, and if you're lost in a bush, you have a cutlass to clear your way out. There's so many good things that you can do, but then in the wrong hands, it can be used for the complete opposite. So it's a similar thing with this, with AI being more prominent in the world. It can do so much good, but in the wrong hands, it can be used for it can be used for deceit, and so much so that AI is so powerful nowadays that it can almost replicate, say, human or lifelike images or lifelike videos. I don't know if you've heard of deep fakes.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that are happening now, and if it's in the wrong hands, there's that possibility that it can happen.
So as AI got the mind of its own, I mean, some of us have seen Terminator as a movie growing up. Where do you think we're heading right now?
Where do you think we're heading?
So the negative side of AI.
Yeah, the so that it depends on what you want to view as when it comes to negative side. So on one hand, you have users. So you've heard the phrase "guns don't kill people, people kill people," where it's someone acting negatively with it, and then you have the aspect of what can AI develop to that it itself becomes negative.
Okay.
So on the first aspect of users, we've already seen a lot of scammers, a lot of bad actors. What I mean by bad actors, I mean like cybersecurity threats, hackers, scammers. They use AI a lot, and that brings a terror feeling where we no longer trust humans. So going from things as from say deep fakes, which I think has been mentioned before, to voice cloning. So you can have someone call you sounding like your child crying and whatnot. And you can switch to a video call and it would look like your child crying, and they could ask for anything, and as a father you would say, I want to do this, I want to do that. But those are bad people, those are bad actors who are using these tools. And simply because AI gives you access to a lot of knowledge, even if you're not using AI to do the negative things, you can easily learn how to do them. So what I mean by that is you don't have to use AI to hack someone's computer. You can use AI to learn to hack, and then you become a hacker. But again, it's just resources to learn. So it all boils down to the question on humanity and what we can do as humans. On the aspect of AI itself being bad, I think it in itself, it would always be a tool. It would always be a tool. I don't think it would get to a stage where AI begins to control things. It goes down to the side of more corporate guidance when it comes to AI. What would governments use AI for? So for example, governments can use AI to push agendas. So you can have a country who have a particular agenda, and they might tell any AI that's being used in there should not have these solutions. So for example, you could have it written in a way where there are no scripture in the AI in a particular country. So anyone using AI, they would not find any solution for scriptural references in there. We've seen this being used on a corporate level in some countries for negative things. So for example, there's a case in America where the police were trying to track someone in Washington, and this is not fully AI, this is with technology, and to track the person, they went to the banks of America in Washington and said, we need information of anyone who has deposited or withdrawn money in Washington. Now, what the bank should have done was to contact the people and say, we're looking for this information, but they didn't do that. So they sent that information to the FBI, and the whole idea behind it was, because we have so much information out there, each person can easily be identified by a number of tools that you use, and corporations, companies, governments can use that against you. So for example, if you have a particular view, you might not be able to use your credit card anymore. They might go, anyone who's a Christian, your card stops working. We saw this happen to the farmers. I think it was in France, or was it Canada, where they were revolting and they seized all their accounts.
Okay.
In one fell swoop. So this is the negative side of technology when it comes to corporations and actual governing bodies. So it can be very bad. The more powerful a tool is, the more powerful it can be used against you.
But the tool itself cannot grow.
The tool itself will no, it wouldn't. Someone has to tell it why and what to do.
I remember the movie I saw that the robot just knew too much, and then started to arrogate a lot of power to itself, started to command. That's fiction.
Those fictional ideas usually boil down to the fact that the robot, the AI thinks it knows what's best for you.
Okay, so you override you.
So it says, so for example, and you can't do this yourself. So you wanted to lose weight, you wanted to lose weight. You had a bad habit of snacking, and you told the AI, okay, you order my meals for me, right? There's no food in the house. You order what I'm meant to eat, right? And if it decides that you should be having, say, 800 calories per day, as a doctor, Victor would say you shouldn't, a grown person should not be having 800 calories a day. But because the AI is misinformed, or to a certain degree, it thinks, okay, at least if you go down to 800 calories, you would definitely lose weight. Well, it's thinking it's doing what's best for you because you've said, I want to lose weight. I'm okay with going out to 800 calories. Okay, fine. You'd only get 800 calories of food each day. You're not going to leave the house because I'm going to lock the doors to make sure you stay at home. You don't go outside and eat something you shouldn't eat. You stay inside, eat 800 calories, and that's what you've told me to do. And that's good for you, and you do it. That's where those kind of movies come into play. It's the AI thinking, I know what's the best for you. But again, there are always fail-safes around it.
One thing I'd like to quickly mention is just he's kindly talked about how we can be bad as humans using this tool, and also the possibility of this tool growing to a place where it itself can become bad. One other thing I'd like to add to that is that as well as AI has the ability to be such a useful tool that we're using, the other bad side to consider are the consequences of AI. So for instance, now that you have AI that's interpreting maybe brain scans, for instance, there's a chance that you will need less radiographers, and there'll be less radiography jobs, or radiologists rather, who are interpreting these scans, because we've gotten it to a place where it's so efficient. We actually, in fact, maybe it's even more efficient than the human eyes that's looking at the scan, and that is a real possibility. There are slight so it down to the pixel level, it can see, this white is slightly more white than this white, something that the human eyes will not be able to pick up. So what I'm trying to get to is there are consequences of AI technology possibly making more and more human jobs redundant. That's one.
And then we'll come back to the church and pray for jobs.
No, you don't come back to the church to pray for jobs. You learn new skills. Skills. Yeah. I think I just wanted to put an example to one of the things Isaac was saying in terms of government policies and all. If you look at two cases, I think generally we've had TikToks in China different from the TikToks we all use, because for them they've said they've restricted their own TikToks to just educational videos and kind of post,
and the
age limit is a lot higher and the likes. And also you talk about their Google search engine, kind of different government policies and all. And also when you look at the case of Nigeria, where they blocked some people's accounts during one of the NSAS protests and all the likes, how were they able to trace and all those kind of things? These are all just down to technologies. At the end of the day, the government can kind of shut you out of your account and you're broke and you don't have money to live life. So again, that's why I'll go back to what we said earlier. We then need to be involved in policy conversations, because that's where it begins from. Where policy conversations are held, I don't think the church should shy away with it. We oftentimes are just fronting for the ones that directly affect us, like some of the ones in Nigeria where they've tried to box the church into some corners. You then see the church come out in troops, like with lawyers and all the likes, and come to argue at the National Assembly and say, this law or this policy can't work. But beyond that, for society itself, I think we need to get to the front and be like encouraged. Like Victor mentioned earlier, we have engineers, we have data engineers, we have the experts in the church. They can just advise, where do we stand, where do we go, that kind of thing.
There's also the fear of the over-reliance on AI itself. I think this is one we all know. For example, where if you over-rely on AI, you begin to lose certain aspects of what makes you in terms of, say, for example, this is what tends to lead to people losing their jobs, right? What I mean by that is, say for example, I heard of this story where this guy was using AI to do his work. His boss found out and replaced him with AI.
Oh, okay.
Or
wasn't discreet enough.
Well, yeah. Or there's the idea of there are tools that you need for everyday function in life, which you delegate to AI. Say, for example, something as simple as you write your own CV, right? A lot of people, there are sites where you take the job description, you pop into an AI, it generates your CV, and after a while, you have no idea how to write your CV anymore because AI has been doing it for you.
I get that.
Again, and what I mean, I don't just mean the obvious things. We see self-driving cars. If you always put your self-driving car on autopilot for the next only God knows how many years, you might not remember how to react in dangerous situations. If you were the one actually driving, you lose some motor skills because you're over reliant on AI. It's the same with obviously this is the same with anything in life, where if you're always ordering food, you used to cook before,
You might lose cooking skills.
you'd forget what it means to actually start making
But
things.
did you want to say
And
you
then-
got married and you were a very, very good cook as a bachelor and you got
The-
married and you stopped going to the kitchen?
Yeah, I mean, if
You might
you're not
lose-
helping out, at least if you help out in the kitchen, you're still seeing how it's done.
Serving.
You're still serving. You're still doing some certain things, and you can then get to even a greater level where the expectation of reality changes, in terms of, because AI is so fast, you expect the world to be as fast as AI.
Yeah.
So I would give you a simple example. This is not exactly AI. I used to work in a company that used to do with black box and trackers. And what they do is it remotely, if you're in an accident, it would store the footage of the accident and you can download it.
Investigate.
And a customer had an issue and they wanted to download such footage, and they said, this could take up to 6 hours to download. It was about 2 gigabytes. And he was complaining and was upset simply because on his iPhone, if you wanted to download a 2 gig app, it'll be done in seconds. So there's there's a shift of what reality is, because, well, if my phone can do it in 2 minutes, why is that taking 6 hours? But you don't understand how it's being done in the back end anymore. No more. If everyone's using AI to write their CVs, you as a recruiter, you're seeing all these CVs that are written so well.
Super,
if someone
perfect.
if a human actually writes his own CV, they'll go,
You'll trash
"What's
it.
this? Is this done by a 2-year-old?" Not realizing that that's the actual real CV, whilst all the others you've been seeing are actually
Deepfakes.
deepfakes. Exactly. So there's that fear of over reliance on AI as well. I think that's more likely the bigger danger when it comes to what we do, because whatever we see and we like, we stick to it. If it works, if it's easy, we have no reason to change.
Let me come to you with this. I remember in the first episode, you mentioned something about the fact that in the end times there'll be a lot of information.
Yeah.
And by the way, the name you were looking for the last episode was Simon Arimathea, the one that wanted to buy miracles of the apostles. Yeah, I was going to ask you now. Do you think we are in the end? Okay, no. We are in the end time, definitely. But do you think that AI is helping the Antichrist for the end time?
Ooh, that's really interesting.
Because now, to give you some flesh of it, you guys have mentioned policies, how government can do this, how people can do that based on this.
Yeah.
That's what the end time is going to look like, really.
Yeah.
This tool is almost helping it.
Well, I said that's interesting because it's not just only AI that is going to help if we're going to get to the end time. I'll give an example. If what happened in COVID happened some 20 years ago, the spread would not be as fast as this, at least based on some of the analytics that came out.
Okay.
The spread of COVID would not have been as this. The ease of travel has made the spread of COVID very easy, because people were could move from one place to another within the shortest time. I could be in China, from China to Singapore to Africa.
No, but there were planes then too now.
They weren't. accessible as it is right now. The ease.
You can get EasyJet flights
like you could move.
You know, jet to holidays, just go. I want to go somewhere.
You could
20
move
quid for the weekend.
So that's what I'm going. Like tools generally, it's making the world a one ball unit. It's not just AI. Every technology is bringing the world into that kind of a closer, a lot closer, and the like. So, would AI help? I cannot tell you yes or no because I know it's a tool. So would it? Yeah, and Isaac and I think Victor has mentioned too that people can get a hold of it, use it for something bad. So would it be something for the end time? I wouldn't tell you no. I wouldn't tell you yes because we're in the end time. So we'll see. All I'll tell you is we'll see. But it can be a very, very powerful tool because humans can't influence it. Again, it's rule based. If I can say A equals B equals C and the likes, that's it. So I don't
You have an answer.
I don't want to get caught.
But we kind of know the answer, but we don't want to kind of say it, right?
No, it's not that we like. Again, it's good evil. It's good evil.
Yeah,
and
I get
and the
you.
likes.
It's just a fear in my mind that I'm hoping that scripture that says that until we get a mark of the beast, I'm praying that we will not be on ground. All of us on this panel and you listening will have all gone up, and it's just those that are left behind that will have the conversation of having the mark and all of that before they can do transactions.
Victor spoke earlier about losing jobs, people losing jobs, and all the likes. Again, it's nobody's fault.
You know what?
It's nobody's fault. It's just a tool.
I had a conversation about the end times with a colleague of mine when it comes to AI and technology, and obviously my views change with new information and as things pass. And I have an uninformed theory based on how things look, because for lack of better words, we tend to look for a particular person as when many of these conversations that happen, a particular person as the Antichrist, or a single person, or one person ruler of this and that. And then I look at AI and I go, So a good example of how I imagined this being is the next phase of AI is going to be bioengineering. We've already seen this into the medical field. We've seen Elon Musk's chip, I think, which helps people who can't speak to speak and stuff like that. And I thought of a little scenario and I played it out, the scenario. One of the biggest issues in UK is GP waiting times, right? And if you thought of the idea of biochips, so biomonitors, it's put into your skin or it's installed in your person. First of all, it's an ID that is very difficult to hack, so to speak, because it's on you and it's in you, right? So, for example, rather than having a credit card, you scan your chip, it's in you. The other aspect, the other selling point would be it's monitoring your health, your heart rate, and stuff like that, which means you don't need to call the GP.
It knows already.
The GP already knows, and that's easily sellable. You've got an older family member, you don't need to keep checking on them. You have them.
I'm uncomfortable on this.
You have them that installed, and you register with a GP. Anytime the heart rate goes up, oh, are you all right? Are you okay? Go, yeah, that's that's easy, But then that's the good side, and then you go, okay, that's for old people. But okay, now that we have it, newborn babies, we need to keep track of them. People are stealing babies. We heard of the news a couple of months ago of I can't remember what her name was. Okay, we insert them into babies, so you can monitor your baby and blah blah blah. We talked about that.
They can shut down the hearts from wherever.
And exactly. So now imagine if it now becomes a requirement for everyone to have this biomonitor as your security ID. So that way, even if there's a criminal, and again, this is the easiest selling point, you can track any criminal anywhere because the ID is generating a signal. They can pinpoint someone who stabbed someone within seconds because we saw you there with that ID. We know exactly where you're hiding right now. Everyone would vote for it and go, yes, get all the criminals, get all the people we don't want. But then when
All
that's
the consequences.
exactly, if then they now say, if you don't have an ID, you don't have a bank account.
Yeah.
Isaac, I'm
You can't go
now.
shopping.
No driving license.
No driving license.
Isaac, let's
So
No
that's
let's not think.
that's
let's,
where
let's not,
that's where
let's
I
not
went.
go further. Let's not go further because I'm
No,
really
no, but the funny thing is, all what Isaac is explaining right now, let's look at it that it's already there in the external forms,
it's not being put together.
but it's not put together into something that could be in the individual. I'll give example, the baby tracking stuff. There are stuffs that they put on babies' hands that could monitor their heartbeat and everything while they sleep, and you can read it on your phone even as a parent. We have our smartwatches. Most of them, you can get a lot of these readings. So all what Isaac has explained kind of have their external feature. That's where I'm going, that we use on a day-to-day basis. It's just now, let's bring it into the biomedical line. And so.
let's not scare ourselves and the audience any further. I mean, it's beautiful that we have discussed a lot of positives on AI, artificial intelligence, and technology. It's brilliant that we have practicalized, we have internalized how as Christians it's useful for us, useful for evangelism, useful for all manner of things. I mean, you can learn music with it, you can do a lot of good things with it, and brilliant also the fact that you guys have mentioned how we need to be in the policy making so that this thing will not work against us in the long term. I mean, I've ended it now on the ugly parts of AI, which I think we shouldn't even try dig deeper into, because I'm getting scared. I'm sweating as it is now. But I've had a wonderful time. I've learned a lot on AI itself. I'm a better person. I'm better informed. Thank you, John Ayen, data expert, very much for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac, the technical guru. Thank you so much, Dr. Victor, for all your perspectives have been very fantastic, very educative. Guys, you have to have watched this one. You have to have enjoyed it, because I have thoroughly enjoyed it myself. Until we come back to you with another series, another topic, another episode from TRF Podcast. Thank you guys for coming. Benga Ogunle saying bye-bye. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. We appreciate you joining us today. We hope you have learned something and have been blessed. Don't forget to visit us if you are in the Birmingham area in the UK at 5 Matching Road, Eddington, B236DR. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and on YouTube. Search Foursquare Gospel Church Birmingham on your search engine and you will find us. If you are not around us, please find a Bible-believing church and connect with God. Remember, we would love to hear from you. Send us a DM on our Instagram page at trf.podcast. Have a wonderful rest of the week. God bless you.